Hellblade side of things. Now, is it Hellblade Suana's Sacrifice or Senuana? I don't know the pronunciation here.
Senua's, I'd say.
Senua's. Senua's?
Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice.
Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. So we just go with that.
I got so confused because the stream started playing my voice.
I went, hello. So I contacted Dell and I had an issue with my monitor. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll let them know if I see what they suggest. And then they said, oh, we've deemed this faulty. I was like, okay. What they did, what me expecting, I'll just have to send back the monitor. I'll be without my monitor for like 2 weeks, and they'll just send it back refurbished or repaired. But no, next day they delivered a brand new monitor, and it was the upgraded model, which is like, oh shit. So,
as someone who works in repairs, it's much easier to just send a new one than to try and fix the old one, because you can resell the old one if you just take the time to break it down and rebuild it.
oh,
And
gotcha,
you'll get your customers so much happier if they just get a new one the next day, rather than have to wait like the week to get it done properly.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
but I was half expected. Yeah, go on.
Slight news, I don't think we should mention it because I don't think it's going to pop up anywhere officially, but people have been testing Stardew Valley on Switch, like internally, and apparently it works really well. Coming from someone I follow from the publisher.
It's hardly the most complex of games.
I mean, it's a seriously aggressive, graphically intensive game, though, so I'm quite surprised it's running on the Switch.
I'm surprised it doesn't have an iOS and Android version yet.
Yeah, so am I. That looks like the perfect game. Like, you can get a mini DayZ game. But I imagine so many more people will be wanting to play something like Stardew Valley. Because it is essentially...
Stardew Valley.
Yeah, it's essentially... what's that? Gardening
Harvest Moon.
That's the one. Yeah, I remember Harvest Moon on the Game Boy.
I think the problem with that is battery life. Like, you play Stardew Valley, you've got different types of people. You've got people who, like me, who play for like an hour, and that'd be fine for us on mobile. Then you've got the people who play for like 10 hours at a time, and there's no way a phone battery could run for 10 hours consistently like that.
Well, to be fair, I think a battery life on a phone is probably longer than the Switch. The Switch is, what, 3-4 hours? And a phone can maybe squeeze out maybe 6 or 7 hours?
Depends on the device, I guess.
And my new phone's wonderful. I was playing that Titanfall game on it. Titanfall Assault. It's not half bad. Then I saw the microtransactions. I was like, oh, here we go. And on the note, are we live? Have we been live for a good few minutes?
Yes.
I'm going to hit recording.
Kameen started recording.
But it's still showing Super Earth broadcast. Child.
Let me send it to you over Discord. I've got one.
Oh, god damn it.
Nah.
It's like it's live, isn't it? Well, let's kick things off. It's Thursday, 10th of August, which I almost completely got wrong. And you're listening to the Game GrinCast. More so, the live stream Game GrinCast. And I'm your host this evening, Cow. And join with me is the lovely Ace.
Hello.
Cello. Catty.
Hello.
And Alex might turn up a bit later on to surprise us with a game to enjoy. But for now, let's jump straight to the news. And let's start with something a bit sad, a bit sombre, because it's been recently announced that Daniel Licht, the composer, or well, famous composer of plenty of TV shows and movies, most notable for Dexter and Children of the Corn, passed away recently. He was 60 years old and died of cancer, which, to be fair, fuck cancer, honestly. But in the gaming world, we're just talking about what he's been done in the gaming world. He's most well known in his first foray into the gaming industry with Dishonored 1 and 2, which was his last pieces of work. So if he's working TV and he's working gaming, he's going to be forever more immortalized. So I thought we'll give a shout out to that.
Does anyone know if he worked on the new Dishonored game, the standalone version's coming out later this year?
That I don't know, actually.
Because that could possibly be one of the last things that's released of his.
So this is why I've got to go ahead and search into it now
Sorry.
and see if I can find out. Speak amongst yourselves. Mm-hmm.
I don't like I like talking to myself.
Well, talk to yourself then.
Yeah, he has also composed new tracks for the upcoming standalone Dishonored Death of the Outsider.
That's right, yeah, he composed new tracks. So it looks like that the last pieces of work that you'll hear from this amazing composer is going to be found in Dishonored Death of the Outsider, which is out later this year, I believe, on October or November. Might be soon, actually.
September 15th.
There you are, next month. See, I personally, when I heard about this news of him passing away, I was like, I didn't recognise him because I don't always think of who composes certain pieces unless it's like right in your face, such as someone as like Hans Zimmer or, you know, the typical ones, Danny Elfman, John Williams, exactly. But when you've got such works from like Dexter, when you listen to the Dexter TV series, because the music is really good in Dexter as well. He's done a couple of other games. He did a Silent Hill game as well. And you just, sometimes when you listen to certain pieces and you think, that's really good, that's really powerful, and you look into the composer, you sort of create a following for them. So I'm sure many of those out there who have been fans of his work are going to be rather upset over this.
Yeah, definitely. He didn't create soundtracks for games or TV shows. He created soundtracks for universes.
That's unfortunate to say. But the heart goes out to the families, as is. And also, can't help but say it, but fuck cancer. Seriously. The amount of people get taken away because of cancer, you know, most beloved friends, family, celebrities. Let's just hope it's not a repeat of 2016, you know. But let's move on. Let's move on to move on to something a bit more positive. But when you look at the release that it is and who is it from, this is going to get fucked up. Activision have announced that they are looking into other titles to remaster. Because, of course, everyone loves nostalgia, and they certainly want to cash in now. They've taken away your money from microtransactions and loot boxes, so why not ruin your childhood? Now, despite Crash Bandicoot being the N-Sane trilogy being a pretty good remastering, and quite well praised, but also criticised because it kept the original difficulty, but get over it, that's what 90s games were like. They're looking into delving into their past titles and seeing what else they can dig up and sell to people. I'm trying to think of what Activision actually holds, because they bought Crash Bandicoot. They've got Call of Duty, so without a doubt they're probably going to remaster another Call of Duty and milk it like the last one. So what could be next from them?
Spyro?
Spyro? Yeah, that's a good one. Didn't think of that one. It's very difficult when you think of Activision, you associate them with shit. I mean, Call of Duty.
To be fair, it's not like this is a brand new thing, because they've been making remasters for a lot of their games. Like, there was the prototype remasters that were pretty bad, I seem to remember.
Yeah, they were just straight up pulls, though.
The Marvel Ultimate Alliance remakes came out without the DLC.
Yeah. I was tempted to pick those up when I saw them, then I read how bad they were.
Apparently they've been fixed, but
yeah, right.
It's the same reason people still don't want to get drawn into No Man's Sky. Bad press when it came out.
See, look, I'm looking over, like, Spyro would be a good one, but he's sort of part of the Skylanders universe, isn't he?
Yeah, Skylanders is like a spin-off of that. Hasn't that gone mobile?
Has it?
I seem to think they've like cancelled Skylander consoles because it wasn't selling, and they've made it a mobile thing because all the kids play on mobile these days.
Wasn't that Penguin? Club Penguin.
That did it as well. There is Skylanders Battlegrounds, mobile RPG.
Oh, mate.
It costs $12.99 on Amazon. There's 6 left in stock.
I just googled as well. You can actually pick up Skylanders Superchargers, which is
I just saw that.
Which is a bundle, the starter pack for iPad, iPhone, and iPod, and it comes with a little controller and a dock with for your Skylanders toys. It's like, oh dear. No, not for me. Not for me.
Plus that, like, they're already doing remasters of the Call of Duty games, starting probably at 4, but I don't know if they're doing any more, if that's been announced.
Nothing's been announced, but everyone's sort of speculating that they would probably do World at War next to tie in with. Well, I'm surprised they haven't actually announced that already, to be fair. But I'd imagine them doing something to do with World at War. If World War II is successful, then they'll look at the numbers, they'll look at the players and go, right, okay, we'll remaster World at War as well and squeeze more money out of people.
I'm looking at a list of Activision video games, and a lot of these are movie tie-ins. Like, a lot of these are.
Spider-Man 2 was from Activision.
I'm pretty sure they don't have the license.
Yeah, exactly. Burst your bubble by with they saying they don't own the license. It's still with Sony, and obviously Sony doesn't want anything to do with them because they have their own special Spider-Man coming. No, it might not be. It looks good.
It looks great. It's Insomniac.
Yeah, exactly.
Haven't they formally announced that it's got like all of the dynamic web swinging and things?
Yeah, it's pretty much everyone instantly made the comparison, but saying, is it going to be like Spider-Man 2 web swinging? And they're like, yes. Or it's going to be like just as good or maybe better, like a refined.
Which, to be fair, I'm pretty sure we have heard before, so we'll take that with a pinch of salt. But there are apparently 3 Over the Hedge games. That's not a very good film. It does not deserve 3 games.
There are 3 Over the Hedge movies.
Well, there's 3 games for the one film.
What? Are you sure it's not one game per movie?
No, so there's a GameCube, PS2, PC, and Xbox version. A Nintendo DS version, which was made by completely different developers, has a completely different gameplay. And then another DS game, which is like a sequel to the first game, released later that year.
Oh, okay. I sort of imagine that's about the time when the Xbox PS2 was massive, everyone produced different games for the DS game, which was different to the PlayStation 2 game, and the PlayStation 2 game was probably different to the PC game. They all were different sort of back then because they had 5 developers making their own versions.
One of the DS games was released in May 2006, and the other one October 2006. Because 5 months, or not even that. 5 months.
Because money. Let's move on then. Let's not talk about Activision. I dislike them. But let's talk about a new game, a very well received, very interesting game that's just come out. But it's also stirred a bit of controversy over a particular feature the developers have boasted about, which caused a stir. The new Ninja Theory title, which is their AAA indie. So you've got the quality of a AAA for the wee low price of an indie title. I say wee low price. It's about £25 on Steam, and it's also on PS4. It's Hellblade. I'm going to mess up this bit, but it's Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, which probably sounds about right in my head. But what kicked off the whole moment is the developers were saying that the game had a permadeath feature where if you had a rot or some sort of evil force that would follow you, and the more you died, the rot would increase as you progressively died by fucking up or failing, whatever it may be. And as a result, that would then permanently kill Senua and result in your actual game save being deleted. Which a lot of people are going, what the hell? How's that going to work? That's either a neat feature or a what the hell. But after some testing, some pissing about, it was soon discovered by PC Games N that it's a bunch of baloney. It's a big bluff, a big ploy to draw you in with some intrigue. Because after testing, they died about 50 odd times in their playthrough, and nothing happened. They didn't get anything related to death or anything. Permanent save loss.
So to give a little bit more context on exactly how it works,
Sure.
Very early on in sort of the first 20 minutes of the game, you have to fight a boss that is impossible to beat. It will just kill you because you are meant to die. That's how they introduce this mechanic. When you die, no, but I've seen the videos.
Okay.
When you die, text comes up on the screen that says the dark rot will grow each time you fail. If the rot reaches Senua's head, her quest is over. And that's the only, that sounds like the game telling you that when this rot reaches your head, that's it, game over. That's the only thing that people took from that this was permadeath. When the devs were asked, silence. I didn't see them say anything actually about there being permadeath in the game. There was nothing on the store page. There was nothing anywhere saying that the game had permadeath in it, and they weren't denying it. They
So
just
is
went
it,
radio silence. So the internet went into meltdown mode because it's the internet, and people were feeling they'd been cheated because they'd bought a game with permadeath and it didn't say it had. It turned out there wasn't, and Ninja Theory still really haven't said anything on it on any official channels.
So it's a bit like No Man's Sky, where essentially, you're not denying there's not going to be multiplayer, but you're also saying there isn't going to be multiplayer. But everyone's going to believe that there is multiplayer. So you're just sort of pissing us about now.
No, it seems that the game itself suggested that there was permadeath, but the developer never said one way or the other. Whereas No Man's Sky, they were saying, "Oh yeah, you can meet people. You'll."
But the world is so expansive, you'll never see them. Yeah. Yeah. No. No. Hmm. Yeah.
Hamilton moved in from root by the server.
I think, for me personally, that's where the controversy is, because there is this very ambiguous thing that people have a lot of. Like, there are some people like myself, I wouldn't play this game if it had permadeath. And there are a lot of people like me, and conversely, there are a lot of people who didn't want to get into this unless they knew it had permadeath, because that's where they get off. And so having this ambiguity, start that again. Having this ambiguity where the developers aren't saying anything is where the sort of problem is. If they'd have just come out and said, "Oh yeah, no, it's just a law thing, it doesn't matter," then
They kind of,
you've
they
got
made it a
some
little
people
bit worse.
disappointed, but we wouldn't be talking about it. Well, we'd be talking about it saying, "Actually, this game's awesome," because it pretty much is. It has a few bugs, though. I've seen a few people complaining about being stuck in areas because of save points.
I've heard that as well. I mean, I've when I looked into it, I may have exaggerated with the whole sense of it, but at the same time, with the developers not really acknowledging it, then it's one of those like leaving it to your own interpretation. It's like what you said at the Cerical. You said it's just an aforementioned part of the story, and as Chelo said, it's like Sauron gets the ring, the Mordor destroyed, there goes Middle Earth. It doesn't mean your game save or your disc is going to go up, and the world story character. Oh, go on.
Sorry, I actually forgot that there is one more line on the in the section after it says the character will die. It says, "And all progress will be lost." That's the line that got people thinking that there would be permadeath.
Yeah. And I would just like to say, welcome, Alex, who has just joined us the podcast. We're just...
No, we're waiting. Keep him quiet. No.
I've been waiting for my opportunity to say something.
I know, so I thought I'd just introduce you. We're just actually talking about, have you haven't already guessed already, it's the Hellblade permadeath situation where people are bitching about it, whether it is or actually is permadeath. But it turns out it's not. Your thoughts?
True to form, I haven't looked into this too much. So, and also, I'm coming from a poor base of knowledge here because I'm not a fan of permadeath. Well, I'm not a fan of over punishing games anyway. I have very low tolerance for games like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, for example, which I bought and still haven't played. I think I agree with Cello a little bit, and I think a lot of this is people jumping the gun a little bit. But then at the same time, yeah, the devs could have come out and clarified things a little bit better. But I think a lot of it is people sort of going, "Oh my god, this is this, that, and the other," but they haven't, and because the devs didn't come out and say, like, calm down, guys, this is this and this is the other. People just sort of went a bit crazy about it.
I think it's also a case of that because it's on PC and this news and the testing are playing around to see if it was true comes from a PC gaming site. PC gamers sort of overanalyze a lot of situations like that because they think, oh, it's something technical, and they're like, let's test this, let's work this through. That's why we've got, PC gamers who go out the way with modding and testing and experimenting with titles. So they've sort of overanalyzed this situation and kind of blew it a bit out of proportion. But I do agree with Cello. It's totally got to be just law related. It's her progress. It's her story. And if it means that the Rock will kill her, then yes, her progress through this story will end.
That's also a bluff. No matter how many times you die, the Rock gets to a certain point and doesn't progress any further.
Yeah, and it also goes down, doesn't it? I read as well, after a checkpoint, it also resets almost. Not entirely, but sort of just knocks back down a bit. Like as though a checkpoint is a bit like a reward. The Rock fades back slightly as you go further and further. I must play the game, to be honest with you. I'm tempted to pick it up.
Yeah, I'm definitely tempted to pick it up. Now I know if I die too many times because I'm bad at games, I won't have to start all over again.
You just gotta get better at gaming.
Get good.
Exactly.
You say that, and you don't like Dark Souls or Bloodborne.
To be fair, I don't. It's not that I don't like them because I die a lot. I just don't like them.
Oh, Bloodborne changed me.
I actually flew through Dark Souls 2. I think, to be fair, I didn't complete it, but I got a good 2/3 of the way through in the course of a weekend, and then was just like, I'm not forcing myself through any more of this.
Yeah, I was like that as well. I enjoyed Dark Souls 1, but the second one, yeah, I was like, I must go back to 3 though.
I have tried to play Dark Souls 1 so many times, but my main computer doesn't like the mod that fixes everything, and so it just gives me like 5 FPS rather than 60, and it just can't be bothered. I tried to bully through at 130, but I just couldn't do it.
No, it's tough with the Dark Souls 1 on PC. I mean, the fix is great, but it means you've got to piss about and tweak a bit. Unless there's some quick fix these days. I don't remember doing a quick fix. I ended up pissing about with it. But there you have it. So, who's to blame here? I just think, not the developers, to be honest with you. Fair enough, they could have clarified the situation a bit better. But also, I think it's just gamers in general on the PC side of things who over-exaggerate over things. And we have the mentality of, we need to be punished, so give us more permadeath games. Oh, certainly. I wouldn't trust Polygon. Not after Doom. Is there a game out there, though? I know permadeath exists in the sense that you lose your game character. Like DayZ or something like that. You begin all over again, but in certain games, if you die permanently, the game sort of says, well, you failed, you've got to do it all over again. But is there a game that, if you die, it completely gets rid of your game save?
Yes. It's called Steel Battalion, and it was on the Xbox and came with its own controller, which was two joysticks and a load of buttons and stuff.
Jeez.
There was an eject button on the controller, so if you didn't hit that before your mech exploded, it would delete your save.
What?
Yeah. Sorry? Oh, yeah. Start from the beginning again.
I've heard about it's one of them creepy pastas, but I've heard of a game out there. It's like this Russian-made game, and there's only like one copy in the existence because no one's completed it. Because apparently the myth behind it is if when you play it and when you finish it, it deletes itself completely, like all traces of itself. Like even the disc, it was like I think it was on like a floppy disk or something like that. Even like the contents of the floppy disk will be deleted itself. That's my dog barking as well. But unless we've got anything else to say with permadeath?
I was just going to say that doesn't Pony Island do something similar to that at the end of the game? If anyone's played it.
Pony Island?
It's on a Humble Bundle at the moment. Basically, you're in a arcade game that was created by Satan. Satan, yes, the devil, the devil.
Oh, is that like one of them games that starts off with like it's cute and cuddly and friendly, and then it progressively gets darker and more twisted?
I haven't played it myself, but from the description I've read, it's basically a broken arcade game, and you've got to hack it.
Yeah, so you can't when you first try and start playing the game, you actually have to go into the options menu and like mess around with hidden options and things because to like actually progress through to actually even start the game properly. But the idea is it's like just a jumper game. You have to jump over things, but then all the rules go out the window as Satan slowly tries to kill you.
We've lost Cal.
Cal's gone.
Sorry, I was actually Googling it.
Well, in that case, while Cal Googles, should we talk about our Twitter poll?
No.
I was just about to go.
The rebellion has started!
We will fight you.
I've lost control.
Yes, well, I was going to bring up the Twitter poll after we spoke about the actual game itself when it comes to boosters, but let's start with the Twitter poll then, Alex.
Let's lead with what our audience thinks.
What does our audience say? Well, on our recent Twitter poll, we asked the question, hey, are in-game boosters like those in Shadow of War ruining the video games industry, or are they good for those with no time? And we asked the questions, it's ruining the industry? Undecided, we'll see. It's a good thing for games. Well, unanimously, at 86%, we all said ruining the industry. And Cello seems to be playing around with something.
Or eating.
Or eating. So we're all in agreement. It's ruining the industry, especially when you've got Shadow of War coming out this October, which is going to be including lots of loot boxes and is a single-player title. Yay.
So I actually voted undecided because I voted on these things. But I actually want to change my vote because I think it's now ruining the industry. Because I voted undecided because I thought that Shadow of War would be a single-player game, and there are people out there who don't have the time to necessarily get the same enjoyment out as people who can play the game for like 60 hours. They've only got 10, 20 hours. So, and if they're happy enough to pay money to get the stuff that lets them get through the game faster and get their end-game content, that's fine. What's not okay is having a ranked mode that is directly affected by these loot boxes, making this game is completely pay to win. What makes it even worse is it seems to operate like the forward operating bases like in Metal Gear Solid 5, but it's got permadeath in it. So you can lose, like, people can invade your game, and you can lose key characters in your game. Not like quest givers, but like your orc army. You can lose members of your orc army and stuff because of an enemy player who has bought a lot of items, has come into your game and completely wrecked you.
I think the key thing here is whether it's always on. If it's always on, then that's completely fucked. And it's like, I don't know why they've taken what was unanimously the worst part of that Metal Gear Solid game and decided, hey, let's bring that over. It makes no sense. And yeah, like Patty said, it's pretty conclusively, yeah. Some people have work and other commitments and kids and stuff, and they want to play a whole game, so they can, if they're happy to pay, they can pay. But yeah, I don't see what the reasoning is behind this online rank mode. It seems like a massive risk for Monolith to take it from PR terms to try and get a little bit extra cash.
Well, obviously, it's not Monolith's decision. It's going to be
True.
Warner Brothers. And at the same time, when you say like, yeah, people don't have a lot of time to unlock or grab all this gear or whatever it may be, this epic loot. But at the same time, they say, oh, we're not restricting you from getting this stuff. You can still earn it throughout the game and using in-game currency that's done by solely playing the game. But at the same time, it's been designed deliberately so that it would take you longer and you'll have to grind out, thus dampening your spirit and then making you reluctantly go, fuck it, I'll buy just 1,000 gold to just give me a bit of a boost, just a little bit of a fix. Then that goes, and then the temptation arises again after more grinding. It's going to be like any mobile app out there within microtransactions.
I actually... Go on. I also, to go back a little bit, I disagree with something Alex said, where I don't think it matters if it's always on or has the option to turn it off. Because if it has the option to turn it off, then I'm going to turn it off, because I don't want to lose my key members to people who have paid money to what is effectively cheat legally. But if I do that, then I'm paying 50 quid to get like half a game.
I wouldn't call that half of the game.
Well, okay, not half, but I'm missing out on a part of the game that they're clearly putting a fair amount of time into, because it's the only thing they've really been talking about since the announcements, outside of like trailers and things.
You mean you think that this mode is the only thing they've been talking about since they announced the game?
It's one of the things it's one of the bigger things it's the only thing
it's
I've
not.
seen.
They've only recently started pushing this stuff. Then, like, most of the stuff from the game previously has been about the Nemesis system and what they're doing with the expanded maps and things. Which, granted, Chen and I have been looking at its developments for a while. Neither of us are very impressed with those either. But I think it's a bit of an overstatement to say that this is the main thing they've been talking about. I think it's very much a side thing. And I think this is the reason they've left it until now, because they pushed the game back and they thought, hey, we pushed it back a month. Let's announce this shit heap now, while people are still maybe still excited and maybe have already pre-ordered.
I mean, as well, another situation would be if they hadn't announced this, or like now, and the game had been released with this microtransaction and these purchasable unlocks, it'd be a shitstorm for PR, because everyone would be instantly kicking it off, going, "What the fuck? I bought Shadow of War, expecting to just have enjoyment offline, or occasionally a little bit of online, because the first one had online, where if a friend got killed by an orc, it would sort of let you fight back.
The vengeance mode. Yeah.
Vengeance, yeah. But if this system was introduced like upon release, then everyone would be kicking off. So they've decided, they've done a nice long piece on their community forums just explaining the details about it. And there is a few questions that people have asked, the typical things like, how do I earn gold? Where can I get gold? Do I have to pay for gold? What do you mean when you say gold can save time? And it's the typical answers of, no, it doesn't have an advantage, it's completely optional, and etc., etc. You don't have to pay for it. Everything can be earned throughout the game. But like I said, in doing that, I still think it deliberately, made grindier to give you that encouragement. No. The issue with Metal... Yeah, go on. Yeah, it's like a repercussion. Yes. Exactly, yeah. It's designed that if you strike first, then expect to be attacked back, and you'll risk losing your shit. My complaint with Metal Gear Solid's system was, like, after the disappointment of the final chapter, and that primarily 90% of the focus then just went, well, you can repeat the missions, or you can do the FOB, side of things and build up your base. But the insurance system was only purchasable, only accessible if you either grinded away getting the base coins or bought them from microtransactions. They were like a day's insurance or like a week's insurance, and the insurance, I can't remember the details exactly because I never really bothered I gave up on the FOB system anyway, but I was like, really? So if I go into that sort of thing in order to me not risk losing like my diamonds and all my good gear and officers, I would have to physically pay to have my base insured, like a fucking real world thing. No.
My worry is that they've... If this is a way to make the game easier, then does that mean there's not going to be an easy mode? If I want an easy mode in this game, am I going to have to pay extra?
The game has multiple difficulty modes. Because the previous game didn't have difficulty modes, and that was something people complained about. People said it wasn't hard enough, so they've added a load of extra modes to make it a lot harder.
I thought
I don't know if they have an easy mode.
I thought it was like a bit like oh shit. A bit like
I think it's punishing to very, very, very new players, but I mean, people like I never had much trouble once I got about halfway through the game. First time I played it, every time I've come back to it, I've flown through the game. So it'd be nice to put. I mean, if I get it at this point, I'm going to keep my eyes open. But if I do get it, I'll set it on the hardest mode from the beginning because that's the kind of way I want to play it.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those games that's like Batman. You start off basic and with your counterattacks, and as you progress and you're able to do like 3-4 counterattacks per like dodging move. Because I found myself like, you see loads of videos online of people like leaping between different orcs to stack up their time. And I was doing that as well. I was like stacking up, occasionally doing a finisher on one of them and then stacking it up just to get loads of XP. So yeah, it was a little bit easy. But it's the gameplay was really enjoyable. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. I kind of hoped that the first Shadow of Mordor had the challenge modes from Batman as well. Like you can just do a whole bunch of different challenges. Because in the Batman games, you can have one where you had like 30 enemies come at you, and you have to go through the whole rhythm of defeating them all and get that gold score. But it is what it is, to be fair. I mean, it's not the first time we've had a bit of controversial with a single-player title getting microtransactions. I mean, look at Deus Ex. That whole fiasco of people, well, not apart from the pre-order, augment your pre-order. We also had the in-game microtransaction for Praxis and what else? I can't remember else. It was like weapons and ammo you could unlock. Or even like hell. Get the game like 4 days early.
And I don't think it's unreasonable to say that that's killed the sequel, because they were making another game in that and they're now not doing it, despite it receiving pretty good reviews across the board. And it was the game itself was well received, but no one actually played it because of all the bollocks.
Yeah. I still need to go back to that game, to be honest with you. Well. I think if anyone else got some news that may have picked up, I've exhausted the news that we've got upon so far.
Is it time for the game?
Ooh, it sounds like it.
I'd just like to mention that there's a Game of the Year edition of Fallout 4 been announced today.
Oh, not Skyrim.
No.
It's secretly Skyrim.
Change.
That'd be weird because like they announced the Game of the Year edition for Skyrim coming out this year. But like what?
Game of the Year every year.
Yeah.
The only change to this version of Fallout 4 is they've added a games console in one of the settlements, and you can play the entirety of Skyrim on it.
You can play it on your Pip-Boy.
I mean, you can play Skyrim on basically everything else at this point.
Well, we did one on the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
Yes, they're re-releasing the Pip-Boy.
Oh, because people didn't kill each other enough for the first one.
To be fair, I think the Pip-Boy's worth it more than the game. So we probably haven't got much. I don't know how much time we've got left in the podcast now.
We have, well, give or take, we've roughly got about 15 minutes. So,
did we start late?
Yeah, we did start a wee bit late. But
I've caught you.
No.
Shall I introduce the game? Since
I was going to say, if you would like to take over, and then Alex, go ahead and spoil us with your amazing game idea.
I'll take the speaker's conch, Cal. It's spiky.
That's me backing away. Slippery and sticky.
Cal doing his Bilbo Baggins trying to get the ring impression. Right, so this week we didn't really have a main topic, so I thought I'd introduce a lovely game. Every week on this podcast, we decry developers and punish publishers because we think their games are rubbish. So this week I've set the podcasters a challenge to create their own games with a concept and a title and everything from 2 random genres that I gave them earlier in the day. Now, none of the other podcasters know what genres the others have got. They're going to have, I don't know, a few minutes to talk about the concept and the title, and then everyone will vote whether it's a good concept, a yay, or a bad concept, a nay. Whoever gets the most yays wins, and I'll be tracking the scores. Now, because I'm very wary of, I can see Ace looking at the top of the list with fear because he's always picked first. So we're going to go for the bottom, actually. We're going to start with Catty. The genre that I gave Catty was a point-and-click adventure bullet hell. So if you want to take it away, your concept, Catty.
Okay, so I had trouble coming up with something that actually I felt fit the two genres well. But I did come up with something, and I thought, why not have a boss rush game where you control the character using the mouse pretty much exclusively, so you click where they want to go, and you don't have any weapons except what's in the area of the boss. So you have to build your weapons by combining random items and seeing what works. And also you've got like an inventory, so you can bring items from other rooms, just mess around and see if that works. And that was just generally what I had. And the title of that game is, of course, it have to be MacGyver, with the subtitle not related to the American action-adventure TV show starring Richard Dean Anderson, which originally aired between 1985 and 1992, or the 2016 revival series on CBS starring Lucas Till, which received generally negative reviews, just to make sure we don't get bumped by the copyright people.
Wait, is that your title?
No, that was the subtitle. The title was just MacGyver.
Oh, MacGyver. Oh, okay. So, okay.
Go for the hipster points with the long title.
Would you abbreviate it? What would the abbreviation be?
MacGyver, NRTTAA. I did write it down.
Yeah. Has anyone got any questions for the developer before we vote yay or nay?
I
How much would it cost?
Oh,
sorry.
How much would it cost?
$12.99.
Dollars?
$12.99 in universe monies.
Bitcoin.
12 Bitcoin.
Anyone else? Or are we already ready to vote on this one?
I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
I'm just going to say it's better than what I had on the other side. My other idea was a Flash, as in the comic book hero, the Flash, solving crimes. And the only reason I like this idea was because the title would have to be Crime Scene Investigations.
Okay, let's vote. ACA or nay?
Yeah.
Cal?
For the title alone, yay.
Ooh, Cello. Ooh, Cello's got a game plan. That's 2 for Catty. Right, we'll move on to the man with the game plan then. And I gave Cello the 2 genres of a roguelike. No, I'm not going to vote. I'm going to be bypassing it. I gave Cello the genres roguelike puzzler. So take it away.
Go on.
You had my curiosity, but now you've got my attention. So this is a AAA title.
Shadow of the Portal.
Any questions from the floor?
So, would the portals be like you fight massive bosses like Shadow Colossus, but you go through different portals to fight those bosses, different dimensions? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So would all the rooms be like pre-designed? So the rooms themselves are just the order you have to play them in.
Okay. Yeah, but how would you find? I mean, it's fair enough. You got a portal. You said you use a portal to shoot from one end to get onto his back. But is this a game that you use other weapons, or is it like Shadow Colossus where you use a sword and you have to climb to their head or their weak point to fight them? Is it like that? Right. Mm. Not a bad concept. Let's put it into development.
Let's do it to the vote first.
Let's do it to a Kickstarter as well.
AC or nay?
Yay.
Cal.
It's a yay.
Catty.
I'm going to say nay, but I have reasons.
Revenge.
No, it's not revenge. I don't like the idea of a procedurally generated puzzle game because they never work.
Are we going to end up with 2 votes for every single game? Possibly. Let's quickly find out. I quickly want to give a shout out to Peace, who wasn't here today. I did give him a set of genres. A bit annoyed actually because I gave him a really tough one, but he couldn't beat it today. I gave him the task of creating a 4X sports game, and I'm really sad that we didn't get to see what he came up with that one. But anyway, we'll
take that one for next time.
Yeah, we'll shift on to Cal, who I gave the task of making a workable fantasy racing game.
Right. So in my mind with this one, I thought of 2 games. One, devilishly good, and the other one, something I'd actually surprised they haven't made yet. So the first one is literally called Fantasy Racing. And that is like fantasy football, but you've got all your favourite race car drivers, real world, and of course from Mario Kart and Crash Team Racing. If it's someone who's been in a racing game, they can be in fantasy racing. But instead of actually playing the racing side of things, you just literally manage it, watch over it, do the stats side of thing, pick and choose, place bets, all the sort of usual fantasy football side of things. But it's full of in-app purchases. Because if you want your favourite characters to create your favourite roster of racers, then you have to pay for it. And that means that we can get endorsement from different companies. That's the first one. The second one is like when I thought of fantasy racing, and I thought, why not a Disney racing game? So I thought of Fantasia. So it's like the wonderful music and sympathy of Fantasia, but alongside all your favorite Disney characters driving along different like worlds within Disney. Basically Mario Kart with Disney characters, or Sonic racers with Disney characters. I think that would work nicely.
Did they make a Disney racing game?
I don't know.
They must have done.
They probably have. It probably came out maybe on the PS1, but it should make a comeback. But
particularly now that Disney own literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey Mouse races, Han Solo races, the Tron bikes.
I know, yeah. I suppose a good point, but maybe Disney Infinity or whatever it was called, that one got shut down. That did have sort of a racing mode to it in some of the game modes. But that wasn't literally a proper racing game. This would be a proper racing game. But my other idea, though, I think that'd make a brilliant mobile app. I'll be bringing in so much money. Fantasy racing.
Okay. Has anyone got any further questions for Cal's fantasy racing?
I have one. Did you misunderstand what fantasy means?
Yes, I did at first. That's why I thought of the other game. I was like, oh, that's probably not going to work out. Or pan out. I know exactly like the fantasy genre in general, but I was like, you know what? Fantasy. Plus, Disney is a fantasy world. It brings out the child in all of us. It's the happiest place in the world.
With the fantasy racing, you said anyone who's ever driven in a video game. Yeah. Would that also count people who've driven in like films and TV shows? Because I would really like to play as Sweet JD in Redline or from Redline.
If I take the word fantasy as a more broader term for whatever you want, then yes. As long as... Yeah, go on. I know, yes. That would have made better sense.
Can I just say, Cal, you missed a trick here, because what you should have done is made a Skyrim racing game where it's just all off-road, because it's just 10 out of 10 Skyrim horses.
I should have made Skyrim
That
Racer.
literally would have been the
Game of the Year edition.
It would have been Game of the Year. It'd be the first release
11 out of 10 Skyrim horses.
It'd be Skyrim racing, but it would be basically the opening part to Skyrim on a loop. We're in the car and you have to wait. Yeah. Thomas the Tank Engine. All right,
okay,
put it to a vote.
Let's ask people. Ace?
No.
Oh dear. Cello?
See?
Okay,
Money.
Catty?
If I can play as Sweet JP from Redline, I vote yes.
You will.
I vote yes.
So we've got the two so far. It looks like I'm going to have to be the decider. Just choose the best one. Unless this next one blows us out the water. So, I mean, to be fair, I was going to say, almost immediately after telling Ace his two genres, he said that he hated me, but I did the same thing. So I gave Ace the task of creating a couch co-op real-time strategy game. Take it away, Ace.
Yeah, I had a little trouble coming up with this, and I could not, for the life of me, think of a title for it. But it's like Command and Conquer, but one of you controls the vehicles and units, marches them off, fights, collects ores, whatever, and the other one controls what is built, all the constructions, all the vehicles, trains the troops.
Interesting.
And that's it.
See, other games have.
Are we talking?
What setting?
No, I'm intrigued. What setting are we talking here, Ace? Where are we talking? Future? We're talking.
Yeah, future, of course.
So like StarCraft.
Well, you said Command and Conquer.
Yeah.
That's alternate reality.
We'll get Tim Curry back, so he can go space.
Yes.
Space.
Can we have live action cutscene?
Yes, it would have to have live action cutscenes, of course.
It's got my vote. Anyone else want a question?
See, a concept like this has been kind of done before, where there's as a first-person shooter. I can't remember. It was on Steam, but it was basically an online shooter where one person would take on the role as the commander and would build the bases, as you say, and then the other players would take roles of soldiers and infantry and all that. So it's a concept that does work, but as a split-screen co-op game, maybe?
I think you're thinking of Natural Selection.
Is it Natural Selection?
That's definitely a game that does that. And there's a sequel, Natural Selection 2, that does the same thing. You've got like a commander that controls like buildings and things. And
that is one of them.
They tell the units, like, which are controlled by real people, where to go.
There is another one, but that is one, basically, in a nutshell. Take it in turns.
Well, the person who's at the command center would have access to the mini map and be able to tell the other person where they should be concentrating their forces.
And presumably they'd also have control of things like nukes and stuff, contribute to the fights. They'd just not be directly controlling units.
Yeah, they'd have the timed weapons.
I can see this working with, like, if it was on the PlayStation 4, then one person could be playing it on the console, and they get the big TV with the first-person mode or whatever, the action side of things, and then you could have someone on a tablet or their smartphone, and they will be doing the Vita and doing the command.
What's a Vita?
Vita means life. But Battlefield 4 did something like that, because you could take the role of the commander and you could use that. You could use that on your PC using the web browser, but you could also load it up on a smartphone and a tablet, and you can do it from there on your tablet. And you can like launch missiles out. You can deploy troops. You can sort of give squad commands out to people. Nobody followed them, but it was there.
All right, let's take a vote on Ace's game. So, Cal?
I say yes.
Cello? That sounded like you weren't sure.
An unsure no.
Okay. Catty?
Definitely yes.
Great, so you've done that, so that now everyone has two, and now I have to decide which is the best game.
Good.
Okay, right, I'm going to go through them now and analyse them.
Fantasy Racer.
Cal, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be Fantasy Racer. No, it's not going to be Mickey Kart. Purely for misunderstanding the entire fantasy genre.
Your fantasy is different to mine.
Okay, well. Okay, so it's not going to be Mickey Kart or Fantasy Racer. I really like the idea of MacGyver, but I cannot feel like it would be a seizure in video game form, trying to do a bullet hell and combine different items from an inventory. So I'm going to give MacGyver third place.
Say the full title.
MacGyver and the rest.
I wonder even Catty remembers the full title.
He's got it written down.
Not related to the American action-adventure TV show starring Richard Dean Anderson, which originally aired between 1985 and 1992, all 360 referral series in CBS, starring Lucas Till, which received generally negative reviews.
Okay. Not that.
I might turn that into a soundbite now.
Please do, I need that as a ringtone.
Yeah, make it a ringtone. Okay. Now, the problem is that, Ace is going to have the advantage because I'm an RTS gamer. But I do like the idea of a puzzle game where you move up and down a giant creature and where they change it. Oh, this is tough. Purely for a longevity's sake, I think I'm going to have to go with cellos. Because I think I really like the idea of a couch co-op RTS that works like that, but I think the novelty might wear off after a while. Unless, Ace, unless you've got some vicious plans to turn it into some sort of e-sport.
Yes.
Well, in that case, no. So I'm going to have to go with the Portal of the Colossus or Shadow of the Portal or whatever. Although you're likely to get sued for that, but we have our winner. So Cello now has the right to mock developers all he wants for the rest of the podcast's history this year. No one else gets the opportunity to now, because you all failed. No, you all did very well. I mean, the fact that it was equal means you all did really well, and everyone came along with a good idea, even if it was the wrong genre. But I'm sad that we didn't get to hear Pieces 4X Sports game, but maybe he can tell us at the beginning of next week's podcast. I don't know how much time we've got left, but I'll leave it to Cal to do the rest.
Well, by the end of the time, we've actually come to the end of the show and of the live stream. Now, I could either try and talk off the top of my head what to say, or Alex can happily take it away from there if you'd like to.
Oh, I see. I've got to go through my rigmarole.
Yes.
Fine. Well then, thanks for listening, everyone. Cal's been your host, Cal, and he's been joined by his cello, myself, Hamiltonius, and Catty. And if you want to get in touch with the GrinCast, maybe tell us which game was the best in your opinion, or give us your own ideas of genre mashups, and you can get in touch with us at GrinCast on Twitter. We're always happy to respond, and if you want to engage us in the Give War, we'd be more happy to fight you on the beat. Alternatively, you can leave a comment below the podcast on the Game Grin website, which is www.gamegrin.com.
You had this memorized.
Yeah, well, you can also find Game Grin on Facebook and YouTube. Just search for Game Grin. The GrinCast is also on iTunes if you have to use iTunes. And we also can be picked up by Android podcast subscription apps, whichever is your favourite. I believe that's covered most everything apart from Game On, our sister publication that does lots of lovely magazines about very specific games in the gaming industry, and a general gaming mag as well. Yeah, that's about it. So we'll be back next week. Who knows who'll be hosting? Could be Cal, could be me. It certainly won't be Cello. But until then, game on.
And from all of us, still on the live stream as well. Game on.
Extra content.
Yes. Goodbye.
Stay tuned for racism.
Cello. But until
Colleen, stop recording.
the Game Grin Racecast.
Game on.
Extra content.
Oh, I'm disappointed now. I thought my fantasy racer would be awesome.
Oh, sorry, Cal. This is full misunderstanding of what you were asked to do, but it's...
I know.
No
I knew it was. I knew the genre wanted to be fantasy, but I wanted to just play around with it and go, you know what, fuck it. I couldn't do something obvious. And then I thought about fantasy football, and I thought, why not? Do fantasy racer. Because it will make money. Are we still streaming?
Nobody watching the stream believes you either.
It's like we're doing a post show.
Where real opinions come out.
Yeah, this is what we talk dirty.
What do you think of China, Al?
China are lovely, absolutely lovely people. I was listening to there's a Chinese rap band.
It's begun.
Yeah, and I never heard of them before. They're actually all right. They're pretty good. But I haven't got a clue
For
what this.
Asians.
No. Obviously, I don't understand them because they rap in Chinese. But you know. But then again, if you look at English rap music, then it's here and there.
Does something explode in the background?
No, that was my hand button. That was my mouse button down. I'm actually using, because I've got a wireless mouse now, I use that for the push to talk. Well. My mouse button down. I also edit this because it's 10 to 10.
Oof. I've made the entry on the CMS for you, Cal, so you just need to drop the file in.
Fair enough.
I did it when I got home.
Well, I'm going to change it and reword it and then put it in my name.
Oh.
And remove the series link.
Be my own show. I'll call it Fantasy Podcast.
Oh no.
The Game Grin Calcast.
Right, that's all saved and ready to go. I'm going to disappear as well. Cheers, and thanks for holding out and doing
No, it's
stuff.
all right.
Well,
See you later, guys.